Hello, everyone. Today I will discuss the sustainability and corporate social responsibility, CSR, strategies of Sysco and U.S. Foods. As two of the largest food distribution companies, their efforts in sustainability greatly impact the food distribution industry along with the service industry. Okay. As a chef, I have firsthand experience utilizing both Cisco and US food services. I have used Cisco Foods in my time while I worked overseas, and I also used Cisco in the hotels when I worked here in Atlanta, Georgia. Also, US Foods services. This presentation will explore their sustainability efforts, CSR initiatives, financial performance, and overall impact. We will also analyze ethical reasoning methods, competitive positioning, and strategic recommendations in the food distribution industry. So, a little history about Cisco and US Foods. Cisco was founded in 1969 in Houston, Texas. Cisco is the largest food distributor worldwide, operating over 330 facilities. U.S. Foods is the second largest food distributor in the U.S., and it was established in 1989 in Rosemont, Illinois. While both companies are leaders in the industry, their approach to sustainability and CSR differs, which we'll explore in the further slides. So, sustainability issues comparison. So, as you can see in the table, both companies focus on reducing carbon emissions, sourcing sustainable products, and investing in energy, alternative energy, and minimizing waste. Cisco aims for a 27.5 reduction by 2030, while US Food targets 32.5 by 2032. Cisco has a more aggressive EV fleet expansion, as currently they have 130 EV trucks in their fleet, and they desire to add hundreds more in the coming years. While US Foods emphasizes innovative packaging for waste reduction, both of them have different models. Um, Cisco has more of a global market share versus US Foods is domestic. US Foods value proposition is local and fresh, and Cisco is a matter of convenience and efficiency. Hence, its large economy of scales being present domestically here in the US and also in foreign countries. Alternative energy. Cisco and US Foods invest in alternative energy sources to reduce their carbon footprint. As mentioned in the earlier slide, Cisco currently has 120 electric vehicle trucks globally and plans to expand further. US Foods, though, having a smaller EV fleet, also incorporates compressed natural gas vehicles to reduce emissions. These investments align with their long-term sustainability. So, in addition to the compressed gas, US Foods has their distribution network. closely linked to their clientele and customers to optimize the route optimization. So, electric vehicles, some pros and cons. Lower emissions, cost effective long term, but is a high initial investment. For compressed natural gas, the pro is reduced emissions versus diesel, but the con is it's still a fossil fuel. And for solar energy, the pro is renewable, it reduces operational costs, but also it's expensive to invest in. These are some things to take in consideration in a firm's or business sustainability efforts or initiatives, rather. So, for Porter and Kramer's shared value concept, Porter and Kramer's theory of shared value suggests that businesses can create economic value while addressing social and environmental challenges. Cisco and US Foods exemplify this by aligning sustainability with profitability, as we have learned in the previous slides in their current initiatives and their hopes to reduce emissions in the future. Their investments in alternative energy, responsible sourcing, and waste reduction contribute to long-term competitive advantage. So, sustainability is a very popular topic and something that a lot of people, customers, clients, businesses want to take part of. And larger companies are being called upon to be responsible, whether it's their carbon footprint, their waste reduction. So far in their initiatives, they have been doing very great. Though they may differ and there are similarities, they have good initiatives in place for their corporate social responsibility. So, some takeaways from the shared value. Cisco and US Foods incorporate sustainability for a competitive advantage as their clients both like what they do, and that appeals to what the customers want in terms of sustainability. Their sustainability investments improve their brand recognition and their long-term profitability. So, through these initiatives, they truly can be profitable and gain economic value. Ethical reasoning methods in sustainability. We have the justice approach, the utilitarianism, rights-based approach. We can analyze both US Foods and Cisco's sustainability strategies using these three ethical approaches. So, for the justice approach, Cisco's EV fleets reduce pollution in vulnerable communities, while US Foods waste reduction helps address food insecurity, as they have a lot of local partnerships that give donations of foods that would otherwise be wasted. For utilitarianism, Cisco's emissions reduction benefits a broad range of stakeholders. US Foods' sustainable packaging and food waste reduction serves a similar goal. Right-based approach, Cisco enforces supplier rights through responsible sourcing, while US Foods emphasize fair labor practices in the supply chains. So US Foods, to help with their employee retention, they have offered flexible scheduling. In tandem, this flexible scheduling has offered flexibilities to their customers and also a matter of convenience that they can receive orders and delivery more frequently. And in lieu of that, that helps with the flexibility with the schedule so that their employees will have more of a work-life balance and aid in employee retention. Performance analysis. So, as we can see for revenue, Cisco generated $78.8 billion in 2024. That was a 3.3 increase from the previous year. For US Foods, they earned $37.9 billion, a significant increase of 6.4%. That's some good earning. So, for market share, Cisco leads with 17% of the US market, while US Foods is the second largest with 9%. But you have to take in consideration those percentages might seem small, but their earnings are billions of dollars. So they have great market share when it comes to the food distribution industry. Return on investment and earnings. Cisco's operating income increased by 5.4%, which is a significant increase, while US Foods EBITDA grew by 11.7%, also overly significant. Stockholders' equity and facilities. Cisco has 330 distribution centers, while US Foods operates 70. Both are operated on an optimal level, and their distribution network is optimized to ensure efficiency. Also, both companies utilize a cold chain delivery process. So their trucks have cooling and freezing elements to it to ensure that the products arrive fresh, frozen, in the perfect state to mitigate waste. Okay. Stakeholders. Stakeholders are groups impacted by a company's decisions. We classify them into primary stakeholders who are directly affected and secondary stakeholders who are indirectly impacted. So, for our primary stakeholders, we have employees, customers, suppliers, shareholders. So, for Cisco, Cisco has 76,000 employees, while US Foods has 30,000. US Foods, as I mentioned before, has a flexible scheduling to support retention. Thus far, it has yielded great in their employee retention. Customers both serve restaurants, healthcare facilities, hospitality, and as I mentioned before earlier in the beginning, they also serve education, whether it's K through 12 or on the collegiate level or even private schools, daycares, etc. Suppliers both emphasize sustainable procurement practices to ensure ethical sourcing. So, their suppliers are beheld to certain standards, whether it's domestic standards or global standards. Both companies ensure that their suppliers are efficient and meet standards concerning sustainability, wants, desires of their clientele to ensure that the products that they're offering are premium. Shareholders. Investors monitor financial performance and sustainability initiatives, since as these are core values and beliefs of both companies. Secondary stakeholders, we have communities, regulatory bodies, and environmental groups. Cisco engages in global philanthropic efforts, while US Foods focuses on US-based food bank partnerships, as mentioned before. Regulatory bodies, Cisco's must comply with international laws, while US Foods adhere to FDA and USDA regulations. And those are the same for Cisco as they have a domestic presence here in the United States as well. Environmental groups, Cisco has broader global initiatives, whereas US Foods prioritize food waste reduction. Cisco's, oh, sorry. jump the slide here. Guess I got a little antsy. All right, back to Cisco SWOT. So we're going to highlight the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for Cisco. So for strengths, they are a market leader in the food distribution market. They have a large scale of sustainability investments, as we've talked a few times before about their larger fleet of EV vehicles. Weaknesses, high fuel dependency because their fleet is not completely EV, and because they are so large and broad, they still have a lot of trucks in their fleet that utilize fuel. Complex international regulations. So, depending on the countries that they serve, they have different rules and regulations that they have to adhere by, in addition to the US laws and regulations. Opportunities, expansion of EV fleets, increased demand for sustainable products, as this is a growing concern for customers of them. Threats, economic downturns, as we all have experienced during the pandemic, competition from competing food service groups such as Performance Foods Group and also Gordon Food Service. All right, US food SWOT analysis. We'll touch on their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as well. So for US Foods, they have strong customer relationships, innovative food solutions. So US Foods utilizes an app where you can track your delivery, and also they have services to help with recipe development, inventory, and other services for your food service establishments. This is something that US Foods offers and sets themselves apart, one of their competitive advantages. Weaknesses, smaller market share, as we mentioned before, they share 9% of the market, yet still they are the second largest. Reliance on third-party logistics. So because they do not have an expansive fleet, sometimes they have to utilize a third-party logistics fleet system in order to get their deliveries and their products, goods, and services delivered. Um, Opportunities, growth in sustainable food offerings, energy efficient operations. These are all things that they can get better at. Threats, supply chain disruptions, again, things of the pandemic, employee retention, even though they're working on it when a lot of truck drivers were not available, those things affect their supply chain. Not being able to get goods brought in from different areas for different reasons. These things will affect the supply chain, which is not good for their business nor their clients. Evolving environmental regulations. So, as sustainability measures grow, so will regulations. Environmental sustainability and ethical relativism. Cisco, as a multinational corporation, must comply with international sustainability standards and varying regulatory requirements in different countries. US Foods, operating primarily in the US, focuses on domestic policies, making it less susceptible to global variations. This difference affects their sustainability strategies and CSR initiatives. So, Cisco has to deal with a lot of international sustainability standards. US Food focuses solely on US regulations. Adapting sustainability strategies to regional context. So they only have to worry about the domesticated regulations versus Cisco, it's on a global level and can vary country to country that they're present in. So US Foods has a lot of innovative, focused, competitive pricing because of their local and fresh um, value proposition. And they also have stronger supplier relationships because it's more close knit and more local. Since everything is local, there's more collaboration or easier collaboration versus Cisco is broad and far apart. Competitors. Both Cisco and US Foods face competition from Performance Group, which is a sizable competitor that has grown through acquisitions, and that allowed it to increase their market share. Also, Gordon Food Service. So, Gordon Food Service, funny enough, I work for Newton County Schools. Gordon Food Service is our primary food vendor, and they remain a strong regional player with a focus on sustainability and customer service. So we have a great relationship. They provide great service to us. I believe my county has been with them for 10 plus years. So they're a great company. Their company was founded, it's a family company. Um, it's a great company. So they really are a strong competitor with all that they offer. They have tons of different services and products that's available. So their competitor, PFG, continues to grow through acquisition. So they have to just be careful because who knows? PFG can just be right behind with all of its acquisitions and be as big as Cisco or US Foods. But they can't compete with the sustainability measures of Cisco and US Foods thus far. Key takeaways. So, what have we learned thus far with this presentation, folks? In summary, Cisco and US Foods integrate CSR and sustainability into their operations. While Cisco leads in alternative energy investment, US Foods is strong in waste reduction. Both must balance financial performance with sustainable innovations. I think honestly, both companies are doing a good job in their initiatives, and they're rather different, yet at the same time similar. Because Cisco is a larger and the largest in the food distribution industry, it has the opportunity to invest more. They have more capital and also the economy of scale. And them being so far apart and broad does help in their sustainability measures. And of course, volume. You're always going to pay less when you invest by volume. So they're both doing a great job. And I believe that if they continue, they both can expand their measures as has been founded in the research that they have initiatives in 2030 and 2032 to expand what they're doing currently. Recommendations for Cisco and US Foods. First, expand investment in alternative energy sources. I think this is needed for both of them. So, even though currently Cisco has 120 or 130 and counting EV trucks, they still have many trucks in their fleet that are fueled by fossil fuels. I think that they can continue to grow in that, and that will help. For US Foods, they need to invest more. They need to increase their fleet from 30 on upwards. And maybe finding a way to no longer use the third party sourcing I believe that will help in their sustainability measures as well. Strengthening sustainable sourcing initiatives. I think continuation of partnerships and possibly maybe taking a page out of PFG's book with acquisitions. The acquisitions is definitely going to increase your market share, also um, broaden your economies of scale that you can do more, um, and the investment won't be as impactful financially. Enhance supply chain transparency. I believe to let everyone know in the exchange what's going on, that's always important. Develop customer engagement strategies around sustainability. I think it's always a good check-in with your customers to know what they want so that you can appeal to their needs, wants, and desires. As a food distributor, at the end of the day, you're providing a service. So you want to ensure that what you're providing is what your customers want, and what your customers want, that you have it, that you have the capacity to provide it to your customers. Thank you for listening to my presentation on Cisco and US foods. I hope that it was informative, enlightening about the food industry, especially with food distribution. And hey, let's create a sustainable tomorrow together. Here are the many, many sources that I use to research for this presentation and also my paper. Thank you. The end.